Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
idiot head, stupid boy. I left a company phone on your desk. I need you to set it up for a new employee by the end of the day, okay?
I don't think I have time.
Whatever. It's very important that you do this, because if you don't, you're gonna get freaking suspended and fired. Are you there? Where'd you go? Hey, you're gonna be in big trouble.
Now you may be curious as to why I was so excited to see this Office phone, and that's because this Office phone, the Yealink T58A, is actually running Android OS. Now the amazing thing about that is that usually if a device is running Android, you can find some way to get an APK onto it, which is an Android app, which could potentially mean that we could game on this Office phone. Now, I know what you're thinking. An Office phone? That's gotta be so slow. But no. So I made a slideshow to show you how amazing Office phones really are for gaming. By me. Okay, so number one, they act not as slow as you might think they are. And this is true, they're actually pretty quick. A lot of phones now are actually made with a lot of the same chips as phones or tablets, so they're actually potentially pretty quick. Number three, they are stealthy. Nobody is going to suspect you to be secretly gaming on the Office phone in the corner of your desk because nobody uses them. If you actually work in an office, everyone just uses their phones. I don't know why companies still use these at all, but you know, nobody's gonna suspect you to be gaming on that. So because we have actual phones. Yep, we have phones. 4. Gaming is an abstract concept. What do I mean by that? Now, I want you to think deeply. What really is gaming? But first, let's take a look at the features this phone has available to us right out of the box. Obviously, beyond making phone calls, we have a settings, a file manager, an email app, and a calendar app. And then below that, you might be able to see the photos and camera app. That is for a specific TeamViewer version of this phone that comes with a camera that you can attach to the top of the device. After that, you can see we have a recorder app and a calculator app, and then we have something interesting, the browser. Using the browser was actually pretty decent, and I am going to speed this video up here, but as you can see, we did load pretty quick, and when we were actually in a YouTube video, we were able to run 360p pretty much perfectly, and 480p with some minor stutters. Now in terms of the hardware this chip was rocking, it was actually pretty decent for 2012. I'm kind of impressed actually. Now the CPU is kind of a mouthful. It's the 4-core ARM Cortex A7 at 1.1 gigahertz. And funny enough, it's actually more powerful than the laptop I recently made a video on, which had the Intel Pentium M at 1.7 gigahertz. And for the fact that this chip uses around 5 watts maximum and was made less than 10 years after that laptop, I think that's actually pretty amazing. Beyond that, we have 1 gigabyte of RAM, and we're able to do OpenGL 2.0, and we're rocking Android 5.1. Now the OpenGL 2.0 and the Android 5.1 might be an issue later on because a lot of newer games aren't quite as accepting anymore. Lastly, we had about 2, maybe 3 gigabytes of internal storage, which could definitely make things difficult, especially with larger games. You know what, hopefully that doesn't become an issue. Now came the process of actually getting the games for the phone. I generally used APK Pure. I used a couple of other sites as well, but I don't really trust these sites. They're kind of, I don't know, feel like I'm gonna get a virus. That is, of course, unless you're getting the world-renowned game Indian Theft Auto Simulator, in which case I think you're gonna be just fine. So after downloading the entire Indian Theft Auto Simulator trilogy, it was time to figure out how to get it on the phone. After some research, I was pretty quickly able to find out how to do this. Though it's a weird method, this is how you get APKs on the Yealink phone. I'm using an HFS HTTP file server. And as you can see, I just dragged and dropped the APK that I wanted into the file server. And then we're going to make a quick CFG file. It pretty much just gives the phone an install URL, directing it to the file server, then just telling it to download that file. After that, I'm just going to log into the phone's web GUI, which I can access through LAN, and I'm just going to go over to the configure section, browse, and then upload the CFG file. And once I do that, that's pretty much it. I can pretty easily see on the file server that it's grabbing the files, and within a few seconds I'll see that downloaded onto the Yealink phone. Now that we know that this laptop can get games on it, we have to see if we can actually play them. And we gotta start with the classic test, can it run Doom? It was time to make the decision of whether I want to emulate Doom or download the direct APK for it. And while the APK might get us a slightly better performance, I decided to emulate it. Doom is a game that was ported to pretty much every console ever, everything from the SNES to the Xbox One. So I decided to go with the PlayStation 1 port of the game because it's a console that I think would still run decently well on this phone while still having very good performance of the game. And within just a few minutes, I already had the emulator running. Now all I had to do was get the ROM on there and test the game. And I actually ended up getting the ROMs on here a slightly different way because I'm not sure that the method I have for downloading APKs works the same way for other files as well. So all I really did was put it on a USB drive and stick it in the back of the Yealink phone, which had a USB port. But now we finally have Doom running on an Office phone, which felt so crazy. Not to mention, it ran well. It ran pretty much perfectly, actually. With this emulator, I believe you're supposed to use some PS1 configuration files or BIOS files, something like that. But I just let it emulate that as well, like it came with some built-in ones. Anyways, it still ran perfect, and I was super happy with how this did. But if we can run Doom on here, then I'm sure we can run a lot of other stuff. I mean, even in this PS1 emulator, there's so much more games that we can get going. So, let's take some time and I'm gonna get tons of games on here and we'll see how we can push this phone to absolute limits. So, drum roll please. Wow! We actually managed to get a pretty good game selection on this phone. Now, some of these may not be clear as to what the game actually is, so we'll go over each of those in just a second. Starting back off with the PS1 emulator, which was EPSXE. This is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I believe it was 2. And this ran pretty much perfectly as well. I didn't notice any stutters or hitches at all. Again, PS1 emulation on this was amazing. I tested a couple other games as well. All of them ran perfectly. I was super happy with the PS1 emulator. On the other hand though, the N64 emulator did have quite a few, stutters. I think the games were still absolutely playable, but Mario Kart 64 specifically had quite a bit of slowdown. I didn't notice this quite as much with Super Mario 64. I think that was quite a bit better than Mario Kart, but both of them I think were still playable. Maybe not the best experience, especially with touchscreen, but yeah, it wasn't bad. As you'd probably expect, the Game Boy Advance emulator ran perfectly, but let's take a look at the PSP emulator. It was pretty rough. This was barely playable. I mean, it doesn't look horrendous, but the slowdown was what really pushed this over the edge for me. For example, GTA Vice City Stories, most of the time ran at about half speed. There's only a few times in the game that actually ran close to full speed, and one of those times is when I'm in this bridge right here. Now, just a reminder, for emulation, a device has to be quite a bit more powerful than the device it's emulating. So if we were actually running GTA Vice City on this hardware, it would easily be running full speed. So enough with this boring emulation. Let's see what this phone can actually handle itself. Now, getting real games on this device was where OpenGL 2.0 and Android 5.1.1 actually became an issue. For some games, the only way to actually get it on this phone is to use an older version of the game, but sometimes the archives for older versions of APKs can be quite hard to find. But despite that, I am a professional, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm a pro, and I'm a professional. So, I did manage to get GTA San Andreas on here. It took a few different attempts. I think I tried 3 or 4 different APKs before I actually got one that worked, but it's working. With a couple tweaks of the settings, I was able to get this to run pretty much perfectly. So this is somewhere between low and medium settings, and as you can see, it's running great, far better than GTA Vice City on the PSP. I guess I was having a lot of fun, but I recorded over 20 minutes of footage of me playing Half-Life 1. So I'm gonna speed that up here so that my 20 minutes of playing Half-Life 1 was not just for fun. Now, Half-Life 1 must have been running very well for me to continue to enjoy playing it on this touchscreen phone for this long. So if this gives you any idea of how fun it is to game on an office phone, there it is. I mean, if you were at your desk just wondering what to do, wow, maybe Half-Life is it. Now, before we get into the next game, I would like to remind you that the new 3DS came out 2 years after the chip inside of this phone. Yet, the game that we're about to run on here runs about the exact same as it does on the 3DS, all the while consuming almost the exact same amount of power. So here it is, Minecraft running on an office phone. Now, because we're on Android 5.1.1, we were able to use Minecraft 1.1.5 for Pocket Edition. Now, this is pretty much equivalent to Minecraft Java Edition 1.12, so we're basically playing on the best version of Minecraft. Now, I'm going to skip forward to when we actually got into the game, but as you can see here, we were getting quite a bit of lag. It was pretty bad, and honestly, I was getting a headache. It wasn't anything that a few changes in settings couldn't fix, though. So after tweaking around with some stuff and then getting brutally attacked by a horde of zombies, I did notice a bit of an increase in frames, especially in this cave here. But, you know, there's really only so much you can do. I do think that it made it quite a bit better, and it was still definitely playable. But, like, we are playing Minecraft on an office phone. I mean, let's just say you're a weirdo and you need to play Minecraft at work. This is probably the last device they would suspect you to be playing games on. This is insane. Not only that, but if you had another coworker who also had Minecraft downloaded as well, you could technically do a LAN party on your office phone. And if anyone out there does that, please let me know, and I will genuinely lose my mind. That would be amazing. Now, this is an office phone from 2017. I mean, many office phones releasing now are completely up to date on Android versions, meaning that you could play pretty much any game that you wanted to on your office phone. So I highly recommend that if you have an office phone at your desk, check it out and see what you could do with it. There it is. You can game on an office phone. And the craziest and most hilarious part about it, to me at least, is that it works actually not that terribly. Now, if you guys actually go ahead and do this yourself, please let me know. Please send me pictures or something, because it would be actually insane if you managed to do cloud streaming or managed to get an Xbox controller connected to it. But other than that, have a great day, yo.